In 2025, over 14.5 million people in the UK, that's more than 1 in every 5 people, are living in poverty. And here's what is really shocking. Over half of them are from working households. Yes, that's right. People with jobs, teachers, NHS staff, cleaners, shop workers. They're doing everything society asked, working, paying taxes, staying off benefits, and yet they still can't make ends meet. But here's what really raises eyebrows. A growing number of these individuals are working full-time jobs. That's right, they're employed. How can this be happening in one of the wealthiest countries on earth? In the UK, it's not always about being homeless or jobless. It's often about barely surviving, juggling bills, rationing heating, skipping meals, and watching the cost of everything climb while your paycheck stays frozen in time. According to the UK government, a household is considered in poverty if it earns less than 60% of the median income after housing costs. That's around £15,000 a year for a single adult or £27,000 for a couple with 2 kids. Sounds manageable, until you look at the real costs of living in Britain today. It's easy to point fingers at inflation or a sluggish economy, but the truth is more complex. Behind the headlines, quiet government decisions, overlooked communities, and mounting hidden costs are pushing millions deeper into poverty. In today's video, we're breaking down 10 major reasons poverty is surging in the UK right now, and why the mainstream news won't cover them. Some of these might even hit close to home. Let's dive into what's really going on. Let's break down the harsh reality of day-to-day survival. In April 2024, the national living wage increased to £11.44 per hour, but any sense of relief was quickly erased by rising costs. Rent? The average UK rent is now £1,280 a month, according to Zoopla, a 10% increase in just a year. In London, over £2,000 per month. Food? Staple groceries have spiked by up to 19% year on year, with essentials like milk, bread and vegetables leading the charge. Transport and energy? Fuel and train fares are up. Energy bills remain volatile. Council taxes have increased. So even with a full-time job, many households are now spending more than they earn, sliding into debt, using food banks, or skipping essentials like medicine and heating. In-work poverty, the new normal, the biggest shock of all? You can work 40+ hours a week and still be in poverty. In-work poverty is no longer a rare exception. It's becoming the norm. You wake up, you go to work, you pay your bills, and there's nothing left. No savings, no holidays, no buffer for emergencies, just survival. This has replaced the old idea that work lifts you out of poverty. Now work traps you in it. Poverty's impact on children. And while adults silently struggle, children bear the emotional and physical scars. 1 in 3 children in the UK now live in poverty. Some go to school without breakfast. Others wear second-hand uniforms or skip hot meals. Entire families are relying on food banks even while working full-time jobs. This kind of childhood leaves a mark. It impacts mental health, education, and long-term opportunities, cementing the cycle of poverty for generations. And let's not forget the emotional weight of all this. Imagine working every day, doing everything right, and still falling behind. The mental strain is real. Constant anxiety, stress, and the feeling of failure, even when it's not your fault. This is the silent epidemic. People hiding financial hardship behind closed doors, ashamed, isolated, burnt out. The gig economy, modern flexibility, or modern slavery. On the surface, the gig economy is painted as freedom. Choose your hours, be your own boss, work when you want. But the reality for millions of UK workers is far from empowering. Over 4.4 million people are now working in the gig economy. They deliver your food, drive your rideshare, or freelance online. But many of them don't have job security, sick leave, pensions, or any form of protection. Worse still, their income is often below minimum wage once expenses are factored in. Gig work is not just a side hustle anymore. It's the main source of income for a growing number of households. And many of these workers are trapped in a cycle of unstable hours, unpredictable pay, and no pathway to financial stability. When you combine low wages with rising living costs, it's a perfect storm for poverty. Universal credit, safety net, or system failure. Universal credit was meant to replace a complicated benefit system. It was supposed to streamline support, reduce fraud, and help people get back on their feet. Instead, it's created a 5-week black hole where claimants are left with nothing. Imagine losing your job, applying for help, and being told to wait over a month for any money. In that time, rent piles up. Bills go unpaid, food cupboards run empty, and that's just the beginning. The system is riddled with sanctions, meaning if you miss a meeting or fill out a form incorrectly, you can lose your payment altogether. These sanctions don't just affect the lazy or dishonest, they punish people with learning disabilities, single parents with sick children, and even workers juggling multiple jobs. Instead of catching people when they fall, universal credit is letting them crash to the ground. The crushing cost of childcare. Working parents priced out. In the UK, the cost of childcare has become so high that many parents are forced to make impossible decisions. Go to work and lose half your wages to childcare, or stay home and sink into poverty. Full-time childcare for a child under 2 now averages around £14,000 a year, more than many people's rent or mortgage. And while there is government support, it's limited, complicated, and doesn't reach everyone who needs it. This situation particularly affects working-class women, who are often the ones to stay home when childcare becomes unaffordable. The result? Lost income, stalled careers, and families slipping further behind. We're raising a generation where parents must choose between feeding their kids or providing a future. Housing. The cost of having a roof over your head. In 2025, the housing crisis in the UK has escalated into a full-blown disaster. Average rent in London has soared past £2,000 a month for a one-bedroom flat. And it's not just London. Rents are rising everywhere, while wages remain largely stagnant. Even people with decent jobs are now living in temporary accommodations, sofa surfing, or moving back in with parents into already cramped conditions. The social housing stock has shrunk dramatically. Waiting lists are years long, and emergency housing is overcrowded and underfunded. We're talking about teachers, NHS staff, supermarket workers, people essential to the country, who can't afford to live in the very cities they serve. Mental health. A crisis within a crisis. Mental health problems and poverty go hand in hand. If you're constantly worrying about bills, food, housing, of course your mental health will suffer. But when you try to seek help, what happens? You're put on a 6 to 12-month waiting list, told to attend group sessions, or offered limited phone counseling that often doesn't meet your needs. And if you want real, consistent therapy, that'll cost you upwards of £50 per session, out of reach for most. Untreated mental health issues lead to job loss, relationship breakdowns, addiction, homelessness, all of which make poverty even harder to escape. The silent struggle, rural poverty in the UK. Poverty isn't just a city issue. In rural areas, poverty looks different, and it's often invisible. There are fewer jobs and even fewer that pay well. Public transport is unreliable or non-existent, forcing people to buy and maintain cars they can't afford. Internet access is poor, cutting off opportunities for remote work or education. Because rural poverty is spread out, it's not always reflected in the data. But make no mistake, it's real, and it's growing. Villages across the UK are facing quiet decline as young people leave in search of opportunity, and the elderly are left behind in cold, crumbling homes. The rising cost of everything. The real cost of living crisis. The numbers don't lie. Groceries, energy, fuel, clothing, everything is more expensive. A basket of basics that cost £30 just 3 years ago can now cost over £50. Electricity and gas bills are up by more than 60% for some households. Even those earning above the national average are cutting back on essentials. And for low-income families, it's a matter of survival. The result? Food bank usage is at a record high. Many are skipping meals. Some parents are pretending they're not hungry just so their kids can eat. This is not a temporary glitch. It's a long-term shift that's devastating families. Final thoughts. So what's the takeaway? Poverty in the UK today doesn't always look how we expect it to. It's not just about the homeless or the unemployed. It's working parents, students, key workers, gig economy hustlers. It's your neighbor, your colleague, your child's classmate. It's a silent epidemic that's growing in the shadows of wealth and progress. And unless we shine a light on the root causes, like unaffordable housing, broken welfare systems, and low-wage work, we're not going to fix it. So here's a question for you. Which of these realities surprised you the most? Or better yet, Have you seen these issues in your own community? Drop a comment below and let's start a conversation. Your voice could help raise awareness. And if this video opened your eyes, please like, share, and subscribe. We're committed to covering the stories the mainstream often ignores. Until next time, stay informed and stay empowered. Share this video to spread awareness. Subscribe for more honest looks into the UK's untold stories. Drop a comment below. What does poverty look like in your community? Let's break the silence, because poverty is no longer someone else's problem. It's here, it's now, and it needs our attention. See you in the next one.